Well, and we are live, everybody.
We are live.
Welcome. Welcome to Carolina Retirement Planners Happy Half Hour. We are so happy to have you here. I am Samantha Shukavage, and with me, as always, is my dad, our president and CEO, David Shukavage. Welcome, David. And also with us, as always, we can't do it without her behind the scenes, Amy Dresky, our director of client fun. Hey,
Love
Amy.
that title.
And also the person that knows how to get all this working, you know?
Yeah, technology. Once you learn it, it's not so bad. It's like, just rote memory. Okay, gotta go back. Gotta get to work, guys.
Absolutely. Wait, hey, Amy, before you go, what happy half hour are we on?
Number 70. That's what your question. Number 80. Sorry.
80.
Number 80.
We have come to you for 80 weeks now. Brought you these half hours where you can grab your favorite drink and join us, where we will bring you a half hour of some kind of financial topic brought to you in the most entertaining way that we can possibly
Educational entertainment.
Yes, yeah. Educational entertainment. And we have now turned 80 years old, which we are all very excited about.
That is 80 years young.
80 years young, absolutely. And what are we talking about today, Dad?
Well, actually, this is going to be a good one because you're going to have a chance to test your knowledge. Because we're going to look at what happened last year in the market, but in a lot of markets. And we're going to see how many folks can pick out of a group of nine different assets, 9 different kind of investments, what was the best and what was the worst. We'll see if anybody manages to get it right. So
I like it.
It's going to be kind of fun.
I like it. And as always, we can't tell that you're here unless you say hi to us in the chat. So we'd love it if you say hi. For those of you who have joined us in the last few weeks, you will know that recently the SEC has changed their rules, and we have found out that while we love to hear from you in the chat, we are no longer allowed to interact with you in the chat. Apparently, we are no longer allowed to like your comments or comment upon your comments, but we do.
Well, we can comment on your comments, but we have to do it anonymously.
Yeah, no more love and hugs.
And I see several people: Bruce, Alexandra, Diane, James, Robert, Mary, Ed, and Teresa have joined us so far. And I know some of you personally, and I know some of you will enjoy this little thing. This is a comparison that I think we last did in 2018 or 2019 on the year of 2018. So it's going to be kind of fun. What are you drinking, Sam?
Oh man, I'm not drinking anything excited today. We are pulling this together right here in the clutch. So I'm drinking my LaCroix. It's Pamplemousse.
And I'm drinking iced tea.
Sounds like a cartoon.
Because I found that if I drink whiskey or something, it doesn't necessarily go well for the half hour.
PBR hard coffee cider. It's like my go-to now. It's like the 1 o'clock, the 4:30 beer. So
PBR cider. Okay.
It's hard coffee.
Hard coffee. Okay. Yeah.
That sounds good.
Yeah.
That would be like my like weekend morning beer if I.
It is. It tastes like a Yoo-hoo.
Tailgating for a football game. Ooh, maybe I'll do that on Sunday.
Well, I think.
Who are y'all? If any football fans, I'd love to know who you're pulling for in the
Sundays
Super
are
Bowl
Bloody
this
Mary.
weekend. Oh yeah.
Well, I'm going to crank up.
Football. Bears are out. Football is dead.
I'm going to crank up.
Yeah.
I'm going to crank us up because this could be a long one. This could be a long one, and the topic is what happened. What happened last year?
Okay.
And what I've done is I've gone and I've gotten the results for, I think it's 9 different assets. And what I want you to do is type into the chat which one of these you think did the best from January 1st of last year to December of 31st, and which one you think did the worst at that time period. And I'm going to talk about them in a little more detail. Large companies, small companies, foreign companies, we'll go through them, but be thinking, and then at the end, we'll have to cut it off once I get into the tell you what happened. But let's see a little contest to see who knows which did the best and which did the worst. So just type in, best was, or best, comma, and worst, comma, and we'll have a little fun with it. So let's start with these, and we're going to start with large companies. And large companies are in the US, we're going to use the S&P 500. Everybody hears about that every day. The S&P 500 is basically made up of the 500 biggest companies in the United States. And they're companies like Amazon and Exxon and Johnson & Johnson, the big companies we see every day. And we're going to use the ETF SPY, as our piece there. Then we move to small companies. Small companies, this is sort of the Russell 2000, which is kind of the 2,000 smallest companies in the US. And they're companies like Etsy, Texas Roadhouse, WrestleMania is in that group. WrestleMania, So did small companies, were they the best or were they the worst in 2021? Then we're going to go into foreign developed country. This is an index called EFE. It basically tracks the performance in companies like Japan, Australia, England, companies that have been around for a while, and are kind of more stable. Did they do the best or the worst over last year? Then we come to foreign emerging companies. Foreign emerging companies are companies like China, Russia, India, I think some South American companies, some Mid-Eastern companies there. Their companies are still building their infrastructure, still growing, so did they do the best or worst last year? Now we've got corporate bonds. Bonds is, most people have bonds in their portfolio. We're going to use the US corporate aggregate bond ETF called AGG. And, did they do the best or the worst last year? Then we're going to go to real estate, and we're using an ETF, iShares US Real Estate. It invests in different real estate investment trusts and different development companies and a whole bunch of areas that have to do with building and renting and things on houses. How did real estate do? Did it do the best or the worst last year? Then we're going to go to foreign real estate. There's a similar ETF that follows real estate in basically the developed markets, and the Englands, the Japans, the Australias. So did that do better or worse than others? Then everybody's favorite, gold, right? I mean, if you watch TV, late night TV and all, gold is the answer to everything. You got to buy gold because it's going to be. How did it do last year? Was it the best? Was it the worst? And last but not least, we have commodities. Commodities are like buying bets on the future of things like different metals. How are they going to do? You've probably heard of pork bellies and soybean futures, So how did commodities do? Were they the best or the worst? Now we're going to close off the voting here in a little bit. I'm going to got one more slide, and then we're gonna close up. Amy is hopefully tabulating all this up madly as the answers have come in. So we'll see. We can't give the answer to who got it because the SEC won't let us anymore. But we can at least tell if someone got the right answer. So tab. And one of the reasons I'm showing this is if you go to today's paper, if you open up the Star News today, you're going to see two graphs. In the business section, they got the S&P 500. Again, that's the 500 biggest companies in the US. And they have the NASDAQ. The NASDAQ is, I think, 3,000 big, mostly big companies, and half of the NASDAQ is made out of technology companies. So they got these two monoliths, and they're kind of saying, this is the market, and they're kind of ignoring all these other things, and I have a lot of people come and say, I was watching the paper and the S&P is way up, and, I'm not up that far. Well, how come, And so we'll look at that here in a minute too. So let's kind of drill down now into the actual numbers. We can shut off the voting for anybody that hasn't got their answer in by now. This is the S&P 500. This is a graph from January 1 to December 31st for the S&P 500. And it ended plus 27%. If it's green, it ended up over that time. If it's red, it didn't. So the S&P did 27%, pretty good year for the S&P 500. Now, this is small companies. This is the Russell 2000. This is the smallest companies, the bottom smallest companies in the and it did 13%. Not a bad year, but boy, like half of what the S&P did. We then go to foreign developed, England, Japan, Australia, and they did about 8%. Way less than the US. Then we have foreign emerging. These are the Chinas, the Indias, the USSR, or Russia, I guess it's no longer the USSR. Boy, finally we got some red. They did minus 5.5%. They lost about 5% over last year. Then we've got bonds, US corporate bonds. It was down minus 3.5%. Another red one. Then we have US real estate. This is that ETF that invests in a variety of real estate things. It was up 35%.
Ooh.
Then we have foreign real estate. It was up about 6%. And finally, we have good old gold. Gold was down minus 4%.
Not finally, we got one more.
Yeah, one more. Not last but not least.
But actually, it was interesting because we had a lot of people asking us about gold this year. We actually did.
Yeah.
We did.
Everybody expects gold to do really well, and we actually we've done several kind of presentations where we sort of show that gold, if you look at it historically, it holds its value, but doesn't make money. It just kind of keeps up with inflation, but even then it has wild swings where the price is arguably manipulated. But this is commodities. Commodities is plus 54%.
Whoa.
And look at it. I don't know if you can see it on your screens, but look at this big spike right at the end. Like the last day or two, it went boom, took a big jump. So now, Amy, do you have, has anybody identified commodities as the number? Commodities did 55. U.S. real estate did 36. U.S. real estate outperformed the S&P, which did 27. Small companies did 13. Foreign developed companies did 8. Foreign real estate did 6. And then bonds, gold, and emerging markets. The worst one was emerging markets. Did somebody have commodities as the number one asset class in last year?
Absolutely no way. That actually
Nobody guessed commodities.
no.
Did
Commodities,
anybody have real estate as the number one?
we had
last
3
year?
people that put real estate as number 1.
How many people had large? Let me write this down here. Let's kind of keep track. So we had 0 had commodities. 3 people had real estate. How many people had large companies?
We had 4 people with large companies.
4 people.
Uh-huh.
How many people with small companies?
0. The rest are zeros.
The rest are zeros. So out of the 7 people brave enough to tell us, nobody got the highest right. And did anybody get the lowest? In terms of the lowest, what were they saying?
Yes, we actually had 5 people that selected the foreign emerging as the lowest.
Okay, so it did
And we
pretty
had
good.
1 person that put commodities as the worst.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Well, that's interesting. So you know who you are. It is interesting because if you look at commodities over the last decade, they've kind of done terrible, really, many even further back. But last year, January 1st to December 31st, they crushed it. So, and there's some lessons to be learned here, but that's interesting to see. Now, I thought it might be interesting to go and look at, January, because January was I don't have to tell you, it was a pretty bad month for the market. So if we go to the S&P, what did it gain last year, Sam? What was the number?
27%.
It was plus 27. And in January, it fell -5. But actually, there was a point in time. Oops, how do I get rid of that now? Dang,
At the bottom left, you say done.
Well, you're very good.
I'm a great backseat driver.
He is good.
Yeah. Shouldn't have done that. Erg.
This is the joy of going live. You get to see all the crazy.
Oh, there it is. That's the one. Okay. If you look at it on the 27th of the month, it was actually down about 10%. It had started to come back up. So it was up 27 and down 5 at the end of the month, down 10 during the month. Small companies, how much did they gain last year?
About 13%.
13%, and they gave back 9.5% of it they were down 9.5 in the first month, down even more on the 27th, probably closer to all of the 13. Foreign developed, how did they do last year?
8%.
Plus 8, and they were down basically -4 at the end of January, but even a little higher during the month. How about emerging markets?
-6%.
-6%, and they fell another, looks like 3.2% in January. Well, how about bonds? What were they?
Down about 4%.
And they lost another 2% in January. How about real estate? That was the one did pretty well. What was that 30?
Yeah, up 36, about 36.
36%. It gave back about 10% in January. International real estate, what had it done?
About 6%.
And it gave back about 5% by the end of January. Gold, maybe gold saved us. No, Gold lost money, right? What did gold lose?
Yeah, I lost about 4.
And it lost another 1.7, another 2% by the end of January. And commodities was what, plus 54 or?
Yeah, about plus 54, 55.
And it was up another 8. Oops.
Well, dang.
So if you think about it, in January, of these 9 asset classes, kinds of assets spread around the world, all kinds of things, only commodities had a positive month. Go figure. Now, there's part of a lesson here, and that is, most people, when you decide how to invest, those who've worked with us know we do kind of some risk test, and we decide how much you're willing to lose, in 6 months, and most people end up with a mixture of stocks and bonds. They'll have some stocks. Let's just say they had 50% stocks and 50% bonds. Okay. Well, what did the bonds do last year, Sam? Was like -5 or -3?
-4.
-4%. So half their portfolio lost 3 or 4%. Now, they may have some other types of bonds in there, and they may have some international bonds and things, but basically half their portfolio lost a little money. And then over on the stock side, they're going to have, maybe 60 or 70% in the US, but some are going to be in big companies that did the 27%. But a lot of them are going to be in small companies that just did, what did the small companies do?
13.
And then, another third of it is in international or foreign companies that some of the, that didn't do as well either. So everybody focuses on that S&P number because that's what the paper shows us, plus 26. But when you look at all those other asset classes, it doesn't work that way. Now, why do we do that? Well, because if you put all your eggs in one basket, the S&P is a really volatile basket. We'll talk more about it next week. But just a little lesson why, if you're saying, well, why didn't I get all the money that the paper showed me? It's because, half your money's in bonds that went down a little bit. And another third is in other markets. And we do that because we don't know next year what's gonna do well, what isn't. So this is asset allocation, modern portfolio theory, whole bunch of stuff that goes on with this. I like to remind everybody about this graph. I show this graph, we show it in the classes the workshops we have held at Brunswick Community College and UNCW. This is the stock market. This is the S&P from January 1st, 2000. Do you remember where you were on January 1st when we crossed the millennium? I always joke, I was downtown watching the fireworks, wondering if all the lights are going to go out. Remember Y2K? Yep. I wasn't so worried because I'd been watching TV, and a few hours before, Australia went through the millennium and their lights stayed on. So I figured we were okay. But the market was 1469 then, the S&P. Here was the drop, the dot-com bust. We came back up. We got up for maybe, the better part of a year. And then 2008 drove us down. And 13 years later, it was 1426. We were still down 3%, 13 years later. A lot of people have forgotten that this kind of thing happens with the market. And if you're retired and not positioned right, this can have serious consequences for you. Okay, we're coming up against the top of the hour. A couple of things. One is, if you're a client, you can always call us anytime, set up a phone call, a meeting, a Zoom meeting. We're doing kind of back to Zoom for now. But if you're on this call and you just want to chat with us and have a question or a question about yourself or get to know the process we go through. If you go to www.carolina15.com, you can book a 15-minute phone call with us, no cost or obligation, and just ask the question or get to know us a little better. So that's a little way to get to know more about us and some of the things we've built to overcome some of those problems with the craziness up and down.
Yeah. Well, it was great looking at this and looking at last year, but wouldn't it be even better if we could look at a lot of years at the same time?
That's a good question. What if you would like to see this in an even bigger perspective, you want to come back next Thursday at 4:30, because we're going to do what we call the chiclet chart. It's the periodic table of investment returns. And for the last 20 years, it's comparing how all of them stacked up against each other. And we haven't done this since probably 2018 or 19 at the City Club. I've never done it online. It's a lot of fun. I will make this very animated. And there's some really good lessons to learn here. So the chiclet, how do you spell chiclet?
Oh, let's see here. I have it. I think I have it somewhere.
The
chiclet. It's like a goofy word. It is CHICLET, I think. Am I right?
Oh, okay. Well, anyway, we're going to do the chiclet chart, and it's going to be fun. As always, we're going to try to make it as much fun as we can. And now, one thing we didn't talk about is the future. And what does the future bring? You can see from just what we did that it's hard to tell what this year is going to be. Hey, Sam, when we were at the conference last fall, we talked, there was that one professor there who said, what did he say about risk and the like?
Wow, you're really putting me on the spot here.
He said when
that one professor at that one conference.
He said the things that caused the crashes,
Oh yeah. He said risk is what you don't see. He said that the major things that are really gonna cause the major market movements are the things that you aren't expecting. He said that the volatility, in essence, he was saying that the volatility that we're seeing now, is we're talking about interest rates, about inflation, about what are what are all the reports that are coming out going to show, and these are going to drive volatility to a point, but these are all things that the market's expecting and accommodating for. But the things that are really going to drive the market are a global pandemic.
COVID was an example of something that messed up the market. As I sit here now, we've got Ukraine, however you spell Ukraine. Who knows if we get into a war or even a big trade war or sanctions, what's that going to do to the market? He
essentially said that the things that really create the huge crashes are things that we had not seen, we had not predicted, and the market didn't have time to account for.
So it's tough. But next week, when we go through the chiclet chart, we'll get some more insight into what you can do to prepare for these uncertain things. So what do we do now, Sam? We're kind of at the end of the time here. What's next?
What's next is my favorite part of the day is our wine drawing. So each week we raffle off 2 bottles of wine delivered directly to your door from Fermental Bottle Shop. And to get entered into my jar, all you have to do is click that you are going to our Facebook event. And if you share that event with some friends, we will give you an additional entry. And if you are on our mailing list or our email list, We will send you an email, like you'll get an email letting you know what our topic is going to be. And if you respond to that email throughout the week, we will enter you into the drawing again. So without further ado, our winner this week of 2 bottles of wine delivered directly to your door.
It's not you, Mom. It's not you.
I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Amy, you should bring her over some wine.
No. No.
Oh, I'm so excited. It's Dan and Barb. Dan and Barb.
Oh, yay. They're in Florida watching us right now.
Oh, they're in Florida?
Yeah, but they're coming back, but they're watching
normally
us.
They're someplace so cold watching us.
I
like,
know.
Bundled up in the mountains. So Dan and Barb, I hope that you are enjoying your sunny Florida vacation. And for everybody else who did not win, keep entering the drawing. And I look forward to someday pulling your name and sending you 2 bottles of wine.
But I do want to tell my mom to keep entering. I mean, because I love her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, she sent you the
love you, Mom. So, and she doesn't really like wine. She drinks like the sweet wines or Manischewitz. I remember that. She used to drink that. So yeah, she's fine. She's fine. Congratulations.
All right. Well, congratulations, Dan and Barb. And to everybody else, keep entering. I love to give away wine. And we thank you, Dad, for that.
That was good.
Enlightening presentation, albeit a little depressing, but next week I am very excited.
It wasn't depressing. There was some good stuff there.
It was very insightful. I actually was not aware that Commodities outperformed everything else until
I wasn't either till I did it. And I had a question. Someone said if we took out energy, it wouldn't do so well. I believe that Commodities index does not have energy. It's mostly metals and real estate. You could look it up, go back, watch the rerun for what the thing was. So it's just it's a crazy world. So, okay.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone. Cheers.
Have a wonderful evening and enjoy.
See you next Thursday.
Unusually warm weather.
Oh, I know. I love it. Oh, I love it. Yeah. Get outside. Enjoy it.
Next week.
Bye.